Hi, beautiful people, and welcome to my life. Happy Saturday. Hope you guys are doing good on all levels, in all areas of your life. Hope you're all settled and balanced. Okay. So we've been witnessing, observing a lot of change in social media. Okay. At this time, there is a specific phenomenon which is quite interesting. A lot of spiritual or new age spiritualists, tarot readers, astrologists, and stuff like that. People that worked on spell work, helping people, writing spells for them, and stuff like that, teaching about the esoteric teachings and witchcraft. And some of them even declare themselves as witches, okay? But now they are all converting to Christianity, okay? Finding Jesus specifically, that's what they're saying, finding Jesus, right? So they're moving from their practices and changing their social media contents, deleting years of it, years of their tarot or any other occultic, spiritual, new age content that made them very popular, okay? And they made a lot of money out of it and got lots of endorsements as well, because every social media influencer is chasing the numbers, okay? Because the game is about the numbers, right? So now we have a new narrative. So when a new age spiritualist, tarot reader, witch per se, occultist, astrologist decides to find Jesus or finds Jesus, which is then celebrated in the Christian community, they bring everything down and they change the narrative, right? I was lost. I was deceived. Okay, so in your journey of being deceived and lost, you will also miss, right? So they feel guilty. Some of them disappear a couple of months off social media. They get time to work through this new finding of Jesus, right? And this whole Christian path, because it's all about re-engineering your ideology and what you believe in, because it's totally different. You understand? It's totally different. Spirituality. Okay, New Age per se is coming from where? What is New Age? What is New Age? A lot of people don't understand what is New Age. Number one, New Age is normally a way of thinking and a way of having a spiritual practice, which is basically, right? So this whole trend is based on what? Okay, New Age first. Let's talk about New Age. So, right, some of these social media content influencers have as much as almost 1 million followers, like Alex Reed's Tarot, right? Alexandra, if I remember her name, okay? Now, there's a noticeable trend of New Age manifestation, occult, astrology, tarot, and broader spiritual content creators publicly moving towards Christianity or specifically towards Jesus. They always use the word, I found Jesus, okay? But it's important that not to assume that not all the spiritual creators are converting, right? Not all of them are converting totally. They're just finding Jesus, finding peace, right? Finding problems with their previous practices and belief systems. Right now, we all know that Jesus comes from is connected to Christianity. The character Jesus is in the New Testament. Right, the Old Testament, there is a genealogy at the beginning of the Old Testament, speaking about the 12 tribes and the genealogy of the tribes, the Hebrew tribes. Then it goes on to the New Testament when they introduce Jesus on the birth of Jesus, right? That kind of thing. And it's quite interesting if you look at that story in itself, the star and how the people that won on these finally following following the star, there were astrologers or magi as I call it, following the star, looking for the prophesied birth of Christ. So who is this person? The special person. Okay. So then it goes on, and then 12 till he's 12 years old, let's mention him before he comes back again at 31 years of age. They mention him as just being a child of 12, asking questions in the synagogue and questioning the teachers in the synagogue, right, about the Torah, because a young boy or young children have to learn about the culture and the Torah, the readings and stuff like that, right? So let's continue what I was saying, the change. So Christianity is based on a belief, like everything else in your life, okay? So if you are somebody that is practicing New Age is a collection of different philosophies, right? The New Age spirituality is a modern Western spiritual movement, as I call it, drawn from older religions like esoteric teachings, philosophy traditions, including Asian, African, indigenous, and Jewish mystic teachings and belief and practices, as well as Western occult traditions. Okay, so we could call people like Aleister Crowley an occultist, new, right? So a lot of the New Age practices also drawn from his experience and his own books that he wrote, sorry, and his practices, his magical practices. It's important that there's nuances within New Age. That's the most important part of New Age. It's made of variable um, belief systems, practices, ideology from Western, Eastern, and African as well, indigenous, like the islands and stuff like that. You know, the whole concepts of the human history and humans' spiritual part. So New Age is made of a collection of different belief systems. Okay, so that makes it very interesting as well. And a lot of people misunderstand what is New Age. New Age is not really New Age. All it has been there. It's feeding from old practices long before Christianity, long before the 4th century, when the Roman Empire decided to create something called Christianity, made up from the combination of pagan practices. So you can say that New Age is based on pagan practices. Hi, sweetie pie. Hope you're doing well, Dino. Welcome to my live. Today we're talking about the phenomenon or the situation whereby a lot of New Age spiritual teachers like tarot readers and occultists and astrologers and so-called witches are now converting to Christianity because they found Jesus. Now, this is an interesting phenomenon because it's not the first time it's happening, okay? It happened sometime in the early 90s as well. It happened when Doreen Virtue also left her spiritual practices and her teaching. She was the most populist spiritual commercialist being called because she made a lot of money with the spiritual teaching. She wrote books about angels and stuff like that, right? Now we're seeing another what you call craze of a lot of people who are basically esoteric and they're basically not Christian at all, and then they find Jesus, right? So today we're talking about that phenomenon. Very important to know that change is the only constant thing in this reality. Change. As you are a person, you should always be open to change. Okay? And change is important because change is part of being human. Change is part of being human. We're here to live this life and experience life, but we'll always have change. So it shouldn't be shocking when you hear somebody like Alex reads tarot, Alexandra becoming a Christian, finding Jesus because there is change. It doesn't mean that Christianity is a better path for her at that moment. It seems to be better because she is spiritually exhausted. She finding a place of safety in Christianity. You need to understand that being a spiritual person like myself, I'm not a Christian. I don't have a religion. I am an occultic spiritualist, right? I believe in free will. I believe that I create and manifest my own reality, and I'm influenced by other people's choices as well. But I have what we call free will. And I also, at certain places, don't have free will because that's how this world is. This is a reality of duality. So you will have free will and then you'll have a bit of where you don't have any choice. Okay, like for example, being born into a family. Now remember, when you come in, you forget everything that you had planned before you came here. So it seems like you don't have any free will at all when it comes to your family. But that was predestined before you came here by your spirit, by your higher self. Okay. So we do have a bit of free will, but because it is duality, you're going to have both free will and then you don't have free will for certain circumstances and situations. So let's go into this whole idea. Why some new age spiritual content creators with huge numbers and following, making lots of money, very successful in this new age phenomenon, using manifestation and teaching about manifestation, occult and astrology, as well as tarot, reading tarot and oracle cards, and broader spiritual content creators, right? Or publicly moving towards Christianity. Why are they doing that? So there's many reasons why. So let's go more in depth in it, right? So there are several reasons why a person can feel as if somehow there's something up fishy behind this whole phenomenon. Okay, right? So a lot of the new age spirituality emphasizes manifestation. What is it? The meaning of manifestation? It means to create with intention, right? So basically, manifestation is neither spiritual or belonging to a spiritual practice or not. It's neither, because it's just a way of you creating your reality. However, with the new age, they've made manifestation to be something um, out there, unique and new, but it's not new and unique, because human beings manifestate. We manifest naturally without even having effort. But in most cases, we manifesting without any intention, because we don't know the power that we wield with our minds and our words and our actions. Right. So now manifestation came back and has been taught as something new and something that is more mystical, but it's not mystical at all. When you get up every morning and you decide, I'm going to make breakfast, okay, maybe you were dreaming about eating a good meal and you were thinking about this meal that you want to make and you've never made it before. Maybe you want to make some muffins. So you take all these different items and you're putting into your container. Now you have intention, number one. And then you have your tools, your items that you're going to put in your bowl. You can put your eggs, your berries, whatever, chocolate chip, whatever you're making. Now you are manifesting, you are creating something. All right. When you start your life and you go to university, you have a vision of the life that you want. You have this vision, okay? Your intention. You want to become an accountant, a chartered accountant, or you want to be a doctor. Now you have this vision. Then every single day you go to university, you're putting effort in your every module, in every assignment. You're learning, you are paying attention, you are creating, you are manifesting with intention. So it's simple. It's nothing mystical about manifesting. It's about intention, focus, and action, thoughts and belief, right? So there's nothing mystical about manifestation. However, the new age spiritual teachers have made manifestation or manifesting as something mystical, something that is out there, something that's difficult. Then there's high vibration thinking. They tell you must be positive, always think positive, using high vibration thinking. And then you have crystals, right? This is a malachite for protection and evolution change. Okay, so I'm somebody that practice spirituality, so obviously I also use crystals. That's the first thing that I learned about spirituality. The tools that you get to use, excuse me guys, I learned about the tools you get to use. Oops, excuse me. So you learn about the elemental environments. Okay, you learn about about nature itself. So this is malachite. It's coming from nature. This one is it's not smoother. It's just rough, right? It's malachite. Wonderful for empowerment and protection. A lovely element of that symbolizes empowerment and evolution and awakening and protection. It's very grounded, right? And I've got many others. I got rose, the rose, or what you call the love one. I've got a lot of different stones that I use as tools to clear my space. So all these things about high vibration is keeping yourself in a high vibration is important. Like, for example, outside of the spiritual world, maybe even religion, the Bible teaches you to be happy and joyful, right? And be positive and be loving. It's the same concept in spirituality. They teach you about high frequency to be joyful, grateful, thankful. You know what I mean? That kind of thing to keep yourself in high vibration. Same as what Christianity also supposed to teach, and that is in the New Testament, which with the character Jesus in the Bible, right? So they teach about manifestation like it's something mystical. They talk about high vibration living, being joyful and happy with your life experience, using crystals and energy work. As I said, everything is energy. This crystal carries a certain specific energy because it's always around me. Its energy affects me. Okay, I hold it. I breathe in the energy, right, and then it also clears my energy as well, because it's a powerful energy and it's gonna affect me as well as how I affect this crystal when I'm holding it. That's why they have, you must cleanse your crystals and stuff like that, because basically what happens is that the energy that you're holding will be affecting your crystal, the energy in your room, in your bedroom, in your lounge where the crystals are as well. Certain crystals like this one here, you don't put water on it. It's very powerful. You got to put it in nature or put it in some salts to clean it and stuff like that, or put them in the ground outside to get cleansed. So whatever energy is in there that's negative gets cleansed and removed. That's what they simply mean by energy work. When somebody, like for example, Jesus in the Bible, he touched people and he healed them. That's kind of a Reiki type of drama that he was playing out. He was healing them with his energy, his positive energy and his intention. Again, everything's about intention, right? So when Jesus healed the people in the New Testament in the Bible, he was using his own love, his high vibration, and he saw them and he pictured them in his mind's eye as being healed. And then because he believed they healed, he never see them as suffering. That's how he healed them. That's a form of Reiki and healing. Okay, so that's energy work. And that's also found in Christianity, although they don't tell it exactly what he was doing, but he was using his own high vibration of love and joy and happiness to heal the people that he came across that were sickly, people that were not physically stable, energetic stable, because ill health is based on your energy and your frequency. Okay, like for example, when a person is depressed for a very long time, what happens? It affects the person's aura, it affects the person's mind. Okay, now you're thinking about negative things all the time, you're depressed. That energy can drop so far where it can also affect you on a physical level, because you're depressed, you're not your whole energy and vibration is dropping as you stay longer in that depression state. You understand? So Jesus was somebody who had the ability to use his positive energy to heal others by envision them being healed, because everything is in the mind, right? So when he came to them, he didn't come, oh shame, you, I feel so sorry for you. It was about love. I love you. With my love, I'm going to heal you. That's how Jesus did it, right? Because it was energy that he used. They never speak about medication. They never speak about him putting oils on them. No, he used his own positive energy by just looking at them and touching them and speaking life over them using the word. The same things that, for example, the occultic witches use your words. Remember, your words can be used for killing and also for healing. The hand that kills can also be the hand that heals. Okay, that's how it works, because this is a place of duality, right? But Jesus was positive and he used his loving hand to heal others, right? But remember, he went into the synagogue and he was not happy with the people there trading in the temple, God's temple. And what did he do? He used violence by tippling the tables over and kicking them out. That's a violent act, you understand? So the very same source and being that could give life could also give wrath and also express his anger, because remember, Yeshua or Jesus, which is the ordinary person, okay? So Yeshua was then coined Jesus, but his real name was not Jesus. That's the character in the Christian Bible. Let's continue. Right now, astrology, which is just about astrology, we all know about astrology, is also used in the new age. So is tarot. Now, I also read tarot as well, right? I use tarot and I also use oracle cards. I use tarot, but I don't consider myself a new age spiritualist. I'm just a spiritualist because I believe that everything that I believe in and practice is coming from old traditions. I'm not practicing anything new. All that I'm doing is old. Long before Christianity was paganism, and every single person on this earth at that time was pagan in some form or the other. The African traditionists, pagan. The European occultic magicians and witches were pagan. Everybody was pagan. Even the Romans were pagan. The Greeks were pagan. The Egyptians were pagan. Were they all condemned to hell? Because the Christian Bible says that every person, okay, who doesn't believe in Christ according to the teachings will go to hell. But the people are saying that, right? You'll be condemned if you don't believe in Jesus and Christ and all the other stuff. So what happened to those people before Christianity became a religion and well renownedly practiced? What happened? All those people that were pagan, our forefathers, were all condemned to hell because they never believed in Jesus, didn't even know Jesus. There was nothing called Yeshua because he wasn't born before then. You know what I'm trying to say? Even in his time in the first century when he was not a Christian, because Jesus was never a Christian. Jesus was just a character, or Yeshua was a character living and teaching the Hebrew people about love, healing, and taking responsibility for every action they made in their life. Accountability. He was teaching them about accountability, being accountable for your life and your actions, right? So and then in the second century and the fourth century, then it became a religion, and then they keep on changing it and making it more of a deity, a god. But it was not really originally like that. You understand? So let's continue. So New Age spirituality is it's very different to religion, and if you are practicing New Age and you are fearful and you are tired and exhausted, you might be convinced to feel as if what you are doing is demonic, right? Because you're afraid. You're afraid of what people think about you. Now, remember, these are influencers. Their lives are out there. Everything has been exposed. Okay, I create content, but I'm not a influencer as yet because I don't have the numbers. I still have privacy, and I'm trying to say. I can still control my own stuff. Right, I don't have a lot of people following me, only about over 300 people. I imagine you have 300,000, 50 million, or 50,000, or even like as soon as you hit bigger numbers and you speak in different, you will then be more visible. And when you become visible, then you become targeted by the Christian community. People that will troll your content and call you a demon. You've been used by the devil and all those things. Yet him who is judging me is being used by the devil, but he's saying that I'm being used by the devil, but he's going to every person's channel on social media and condemning them. He was charging them, and that is being used by the devil. So the very same thing that the Christians speak against, they practice it. It's very, very ironic. Okay, let's continue. Right. So for some people, these practices eventually raise deeper questions. Who is actually in control? What happens when manifestation doesn't work? It always works, always works. Even if it's you manifest what you don't want, it's still working. You understand? It's always working. It's a system, it's a spiritual system, cause and effect. Okay. Um, I am spiritually exhausted. People get spiritually exhausted. Is everything really just energy? They start questioning their own belief systems because they get exhausted and they lose hope as well. Do I need to control reality or surrender? Now, witchcraft and the occult is about bending your reality, controlling your reality. Christianity is about, or any religion is about surrendering your own will to a force outside of you, apparently, okay? Because this God of these Abrahamic religions lives outside of you. He's not part of you. You are a sheep, okay? You are a child, and you must follow. But when you are practicing spirituality, maybe new age, old age, whatever you may call it, you are bending reality. You are speaking into your life. You are using tools sometimes like candles, prayer, affirmations, using the Bible sometimes, because in spirituality they still use the Bible, especially the book of Psalms as well, right? So let's continue. Christianity offers a very different framework. You are not God. You don't have to control everything. You can surrender yourself to God. And that's very attractive to somebody who's been an occultist for the last 20 years, made money, very successful, but still living in fear and being affected by trollers and social media telling them what they're doing is demonic. Remember, psychologically, it affects you. The more you get people telling you that you are demonic, you're being used by the devil, you are sinning, you are going against God. And you don't believe it, but because you keep on hearing it, it affects you psychologically. And basically, this is what's been happening to the social media influencers, because they are easy targets. They are vulnerable. They're more concerned about what people think about them in society because of the fact they are social media influencers. They need their followers to love them, adore them, and not criticize them. You understand? For someone coming from a highly directed spirituality that can feel profoundly relieving. You understand? If you were a spiritualist or a new spiritualist, a new age spiritualist, finding Jesus seems so comforting to the nervous system, especially if you've been continuously told by your family, by society, that what you're doing is demonic. And you continue doing it, but the more you do it, the more you're told that what you're doing is wrong, it's against God's will. Christianity offers something new age spirituality sometimes lacks, right? Defining relationship. New age spirituality can be extremely individualized, okay? To find your own truth, to create your own reality, follow your own intuition. Sometimes it's difficult because you get tired and exhausted of finding your own truth, creating your own reality. Follow your intuition, right? And you are divine. And now you're worrying because you're stressing. You are mentally being affected by the outside chatter, noise about how demonic you are. All the things you're doing is wrong. You turn your back against God and all those things. And now your family is telling you this, your society is telling you this, strollers or people are trolling you, social media are also saying the same thing because you can see your numbers are growing, you're getting very popular. You know what I mean? You're helping a lot of people with your tarot, with your spiritual teachings, with your manifestation teachings. You're making people happy. You're helping them. However, the the Christians are watching, so they like to go to those spiritualist, occultic, new age sites and go and attack them verbally, insulting them, telling them they're demonic, you know, affecting them psychologically. Now, remember that new age or any spiritual practice, maybe old or new, has no template, no formal structure. You have to create your own template. It's deeply individualized and focused on you. Unlike Christianity provides a family, a sense of belonging, a tribe. And here you are as a spiritualist, a new age spiritualist, a cultist. Maybe you belong to a coven, but it's not a lot of people. And each one has their own individual practice. So you don't gather like every Sunday or every week. You'll only gather when you need to do these rituals, the moon phases and all those things, okay? So what I do know that as a spiritualist, as somebody who's not a religious person, who's not Christian, doesn't have a religion, going to church every Sunday, it normally becomes very comforting, becomes a comforting ritual of belonging to a certain denomination, the Catholic Church, the Anglican Church, the Apostolic churches, and these churches get bigger, get the mega churches where it's all about your status, because the mega church is about money, the car you're driving, the house you're living in, the clothes you are wearing. You see, it feeds the ego. These groups, these Christian churches also feed your ego. Even the Islamic practices as well, because they gather in the temple, they park their beautiful cars outside. They all know I'm a businessman, I'm blessed by Allah and all those things. I went to Mecca. Mecca's very expensive to go to. You need to go at least once a year. So you're always striving to build the ego, the human personality, you understand? You always there. You see what I'm trying to say? And you belong into this group of people. It gives you a sense of belonging, which spirituality has no templates. There's no church you go to. There's no group you belong to unless you belong to a coven or a group of people, ladies and men that practice, and they come together and they talk and they practice together and stuff like that, which are called covens, right? So, but you also have like individual witches or spiritualists who practice alone, right? And they, at certain times, they then collaborate with other witches and stuff like that. But with Christianity, every Sunday you belong to this church. Maybe on a Wednesday you'll go to church during the week as well, to keep you focused and grounded into the group. And that gives you comfort. And it's got a template, a straight template as well. So it's easier for a person to move from being a spiritualist and a cultist, new age influencer, than, and go to Christianity, because it's easy. It gives you a sense of belonging, direction, and comfort. And then you are not spiritually exhausted. You'll be spiritually supported. All you need to do is surrender to the God of the Bible, surrender to Jesus, and trust. You don't have to go and do rituals. You don't have to go and work on your own spirituality and self. All you need to do is just go to the church, pay your tithe. Obviously, it's not cheap. It doesn't come cheap. You pay your tithe and you belong. And you be a nice, good citizen, disciplined. God is God and you are a creation. That's what they believe. God is God and you are a creation of this God that you cannot see, right? That distinction can become very important for people who have spent years trying to spiritually engineer their lives, okay? So spiritualists are spiritually engineering their life. They're bending energies to create the reality that they want, okay? However, in Christianity, it's different. The Christian idea of grace is also radically different from manifestation culture, the grace of God, okay? The forgiveness narrative as well. So as I said, the distinction can become very important for people who have spent years trying to spiritually engineer their lives. The Christian idea of grace is also radically different from manifestation culture. Very different. You depending on this God. Just pray. Keep on praying. Keep on praying. Praying and hoping and surrendering yourself to God. And then you'll get the job. You'll get the husband. You'll get the happiness. Right? Basically. Okay. Christianity says essentially, you cannot control everything. Trust God. God can only help you. You cannot control everything. God can only be the one that can help you. You need to trust the unseen. For someone who has experienced disappointments, grief, and financial difficulties all your life, relationship breakdown, and illness or personal crises, surrendering can become more attractive than control, taking ownership, control. Now, that's why a lot of people who are social media influencers teaching esoteric, witchcraft, tarot, and all those divination things change over to Christianity because it's comforting. It gives them safety. The internet has more stories about these powerful experiences, right? Like, for example, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and podcasts regard dramatic transformation narratives, right? Like, for example, I'm spiritual but not religious. It's necessary dramatic change. I'm spiritual but not religious. Okay, that sounds like me a couple of years. I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. But I've realized I don't have to prove myself to any person. I'm living my life and my life is my life and it doesn't involve any person, right? So I don't need to prove myself and tell people what I am. You have your own ideologies of who I am, and I have made peace with it, right? Let me continue. I've practiced witchcraft for 10 years and then found Jesus. I practiced witchcraft for 10 years and then I found Jesus. Some people are saying that as well. You've been doing very well for the last 10 years. You've been making money using witchcraft. You've been becoming very successful. You've been getting endorsements. You've been making money. However, somehow you thought or you think you're not happy, and then you find Jesus and your life changes. Okay, which is quite interesting. Or I was a manifestation coach and now I follow Jesus. I was a manifestation coach and now I follow Jesus. These are the different stories that are coming out now, right? It's very compelling narrative. Okay, it produces curiosity, controversy, comments, and shares. So there's also social media amplification effects here as well. So every single person, like Alex reads tarot, she now has become Christian. It has only made people to talk more about her, want to know more about what she's doing now. It's only made her more popular because it's controversy, and then it triggers these comments and shares, right? So there's also social media implication here, as I said before, like in many of the other cases, even Doreen Virtue in 2017, when she left the New Age community and decided to find Jesus, she found Jesus and became a Christian. And now she's speaking against the very community that she belonged to. That's another phenomenon that really strikes me. And I get very concerned because you were in that community. You practiced that thing. And now you moved yourself from that community. And now you moved yourself and now you are demonizing what they practiced or what you practice or what they're practicing because you've left. And now you're demonizing them, their practices. But when you were there, it wasn't demonic, right? But now because you had the sudden aha moment, realization and stuff like that, that what you were practicing was demonic, not understanding that it's only you. And now you want to influence other people from now following you. You understand? This is what really comes to mind. Because now when you start telling the people in the community you belong to that they're demonic, that they lost, right? And now I found Jesus. I'm happier here. Come and join me. You understand that kind of drama. Okay, I'm looking at this content as not as subjective. This is a very objective way of looking at things. Okay, I'm not saying that Christianity is wrong. I'm not saying that these New Ages, converters, New Age spiritualists, witches are now becoming Christians. I don't have a problem with that because I know in this world that you have to go full circle. Somehow you have to go full circle. You understand? So it's fine with me. It's all a choice, only an experience. There's no right and wrong in this reality, basically. Okay. So I want to make that disclaimer. I'm not talking against people that were witches and now they become Christians. I have nothing bad to say about that. It's just a choice. It's also an evolution and a learning curve as well. We came to experience everything here, and change is inevitable. It's the only thing that's really real in this reality is change. And sometimes you will change from being a witch, practicing occultic practices, having deities and all those things, and doing a lot of things that other people that observed said were evil and demonic, and then somehow you are convicted to change, and then you find Jesus. And then somehow you think your life is going to get any better because you found Jesus. People don't understand that Jesus lived his life. You're going to live yours. Okay? So you live your life, and Jesus has lived his life. He's now in another reality. He can help you, yes, because his consciousness is ascended master. He can help you because he helped people when he was here. However, you cannot live your life. He cannot solve all your problems. He cannot work on your shadows without you working on your shadow and your fears, overcoming your fears. It's your business, not Jesus's. This is what I've learned from as somebody who was a Christian, very devoted to Jesus and the Christian God and all those things, okay? And then I had my own awakening and understanding. I needed more. I needed to understand myself and the world and myself in relation to God and the world, because the Bible and Christianity never give me that. So I went on seeking. I never denounced God. I never denounced Jesus. I get to understand who is Jesus, because the Bible doesn't tell you the history of the Christianity It doesn't tell you the history of Christianity. It only tells you what it needs to tell you from Genesis to Revelations. That's all. It doesn't tell you the in-betweens. Even the life of Jesus is not fully mentioned in the Bible, in the New Testament. It comes in at birth till 12 and then it stops. Then he's not there anymore. Then he comes back again when he's 31. He's getting baptized by John the Baptist and all those things, you understand? But you don't see the big picture. Where did he go to school? Did he go to school? What did he learn? Was he a teenager? Was he a naughty teenager? Did he experience challenges? Did he have relationships that he loved? Did he have romantic relationships? We don't know that. Now, that's because when they needed to create Yeshua or Jesus as somebody or something that's holy, he had no need to mention the fact that he was a teenager, that he had teenage problems, that he went to school and he was bullied in school. They're not mentioning all that because somebody who is divine and a God cannot be bullied, cannot have a human life. So then they left that out for a certain reason. His story should have been told fully, but they didn't tell us the story fully. They only told what they needed you to know. So that people, the public, can understand that Yeshua or Jesus was a deity, a God that needs to be worshipped. That's what the Christian church has done, has now worshipped him because of the blood sacrifice and all the other stuff. Now, there's a reason why they put sacrifice there, because there's no greater love than the one that can give up his own life to help another. It's like in the ordinary, mundane world, if your lover or your friend can put his own life in danger to help you, that is very, very beautiful. And it means that person loves you too much. Too much. That's what they did with the story of Jesus. He had to have the blood sacrifice for them to pull people more to Yeshua. It's not made him a martyr, basically. He died for the sins of the people. He becomes a martyr, and everybody loves a martyr. You understand? So it's engineered for a certain reason. Okay, again, I'm not talking against the crucifixion or the blood sacrifice. I'm just talking about it objectively. I'm observing. I'm a spiritual student in life. You understand? I'm not saying it's neither bad or good. It's just what I'm telling you what it is, what I think it is, because it's always pushing a certain narrative. Okay, you must understand that these people that sat down and compile the Bible to where it is now and keep on changing and adding certain things always have a certain objective. Okay, now back to spirituality. You don't have that structure. You don't have that influence like how what that they have that's been put in Christianity, even in Islam. There's an influence, there's the direction. You need to be obedient sheep. You understand? You must follow Jesus' path like a sheep. Don't ask questions, even if you are curious, even if you are not sure of where you're going, because it'll give you that thing that these social media content sharers, new ages that convert to Christianity are looking for, because they're spiritually exhausted. Okay, let's continue. I think I'm on page 3 now, right? So they come up with different narratives, right, to try and explain why they have left the occult and why the occult is demonic, that they were worshiping and being fooled by demons. And the most amazing thing is also people that were born in spiritual families, in occultic families, okay? People that parents were witches and they inherited, because it's in a bloodline, and they find Yeshua or find Jesus, and then they start demonizing their culture, they're demonizing their family because, well, they found Jesus. You understand? So that's how it always plays out, right? So this whole idea produces curiosity, conspiracy, and comments and shares, so you become more popular as well. A relatively small number of highly visible conversations can make the movement appear much larger than it actually is, because it is a movement. This whole phenomenon is a movement to get more people to turn to Christianity, right? Because your influencer is no longer a cultist and a spiritualist or witch. They're now a Christian. It's a safer path because a witch is demonic. Occulticness is demonic and unsafe. Witchcraft, African spirituality, New Age spirituality is all demonic. Okay, that's what you're told. by your social influences who now left the new age and now found Jesus. Okay, let's continue, right? So, some former practitioners describe eventually becoming uncomfortable with their practices like divination. What is divination? Divination is communicating with the dead. Divination is communicating with the unseen. Divination is conjuring or calling in spirits. Divination is ancestral veneration. Divination is tarot. Divination is oracle cards. Speaking and connecting to the divine is divination. The Ouija board is divination. They use that board to communicate with the spirits, okay? That kind of thing. But this is what you need to understand. There's no spirits that will be attracted to you if you're not in that frequency. You have to be in a certain frequency for you to attract a certain spirit, including your ancestors. A lot of people don't understand when you're doing ancestral veneration, you have to get yourself in that vibration for you to able to connect to your ancestors. If you're doing something like the left part and you want to connect to the demonic realm, you have to be in a certain vibration and understanding as well. You understand? Then you actually attach, you connect, because we all have veils, our own personal veils, right? Your own personal veil is always linked to your perception. You have a personal veil as you're walking around. That's why you cannot, most of us cannot see or hear or feel spirit. Most of us can we only tapped into the physical. We only tapped into things we can see. Now, when you're born with clairvoyance and you activated it, everybody's born with it, but not everyone is activated. Not everyone is tapping in it and practicing it. And the more you practice divination or connecting to spirits, like opening your intuition, opening your veil to see more, it's based on being not fearful. You got to be less fearful about the unseen. Okay, now remember that if you were born into it, it wasn't your choice. You never asked for this thing. You begin to hate it because you never asked for it. You got this gift of intuition, gift of clairvoyance. You can see, you can feel, you can hear, but you never asked for it. It can be jarring, it can be scary. Okay, and then you become spiritually exhausted because you don't understand why you're so sensitive, why every spirit is coming to you. You can hear the unseen and you can see the unseen, and the people around you seem more happier and less bothered because they're not seeing what you seeing. You understand? So they can be also exhausting as well. Like how there's certain of them that I know, clairvoyants, spiritualists, who are actually deep into this thing, reading for people, doing a lot of spiritual stuff, talking to ancestors, speaking to the dead on a day-to-day basis, right? Not every single person has the bandwidth to handle that type of life. So when they decide what they're doing is demonic and they find Jesus, it's a great relief. It's a great relief that your gift can be switched off by you simply saying it doesn't exist. This is demonic. I'm going to now follow Jesus. Now remember that when you have clairvoyance, you can switch it off and switch it on. People don't understand that, okay? People don't understand that your clairvoyance, your intuition can be switched off and it can be switched on. You understand? So people got this idea, okay, my clairvoyant, my ability to see the dead and speak to spirits and divination is demonic, right? And because I don't understand it. I'm the only one in my family who has it. I'm the only one in my community. People are calling me a witch. People are insulting me. This is what's happening on social media. I'm helping millions of people, but I'm still being called demonic and a witch because there's a group of people called Christians who think what I'm doing is demonic. There are a group of people called Islamic people, whatever, who think I'm being demonic. So that you need to understand, psychologically it will affect you. Psychologically it will affect you, right? And eventually you give up and you have spiritual exhaustion. Okay, so now I said some former practitioners describe adventure becoming uncomfortable with divination, with tarot, with spiritual communication, with channeling. Every single person is a channel. You are a channel, I'm a channel. I've activated mine, you have not activated yours out of fear, out of disbelief. But every single person with a soul and a body is a channel. We built like that to be able to connect to spirit because we are spirit having a human experience. Why is it so uncomfortable for you to understand that we all clairvoyant and we all have the gift? Because we are spirits having a human experience. When you die, my lovies, you leave your body here and your spirit goes. What does it tell you? It tells you basically that the body is not you, that you are divine spirit having a human experience. Why are you demonizing spirits? There is no true death. Death is a facade. It's fake. I tell you why it's fake, because when you die, your body stays, okay? And you're burying that body, and your spirit goes to another realm. When you are dreaming every night we die, and in the morning we're reborn. Because every night our spirit leaves our bodies and we go to the dream world. We go to the dream world and see other realities because we are not the body. Being spiritual is not demonic. It's your intention that counts. You can be religious and a Christian, a Muslim, but if your ideology is dark and you're hateful, unforgiving, and violent, that is demonic. Right? Talking to your ancestors and being able to see, because your veil is being removed. It's very thin. It's not demonic. It means that you are connected to what you truly are, because you're not your body. You're connected to what you truly are, and there's nothing to be afraid of. Remember that even in the church, bad things happen. There's rape going on there, there's abuse going on, there's all sorts of things going on. Why are people more afraid of spirituality and they seem to be more safer in Christianity? Because it's a place of comfort. You don't have to be accountable. You commit a sin, you hurt somebody, you go and you ask for forgiveness. In the Catholic church, traditional or regional teaching or practice was, you go to the pastor and then you have that experience and you tell him all your sins, and then you get a chance to pray your sin away, or whatever, rosaries and all those things. You understand? But in spirituality, you need to be accountable of your dark shadow. Okay, this is what I've done. Why have I done it? Out of fear, out of ego, out of jealousy. Why do I feel like that? You see, you get to work on it. You're not going to be told to go do rosary prayers or ask Jesus for forgiveness. You're gonna really face your shadow and be accountable and say, yes, I did this thing. The question is, do I feel bad about it, or am I gonna change? Or I'm gonna continue being this bad person? It's your choice. But with Christianity, oh my God, I'm a sinner. Automatically, I was born into sin even before I sinned. Even that is more disturbing. A baby that's born today is really a sinner, born into sin, condemned forever. The only way you can find your healing and your condemnation, be uh, reconciled with God, is if you find Jesus and you give your life to Jesus and they put you in that water and baptize you. Now, the baptism doesn't change your habits of smoking. It doesn't change your lustful pornography practices. It doesn't change your hateful racism and colorism ideologies that you have. It doesn't change all that, because you need to change that. There's no baptism that's going to change your smoking. There's no baptism that's going to stop you from being lustful. There's no baptism and going to Jesus and giving your life to Jesus that's going to make you change and become a better person. You change. You go into that water and you say, okay, I'm washing myself clean. I'm no longer smoking. I'm no more doing pornography. I'm no more hating my brothers and sisters. I'm no more being violent. You do that change, not Jesus. Because Jesus lived and he's gone. He's another reality. You can tap into him because his energy, his frequency. You can get his help. But you ultimately are responsible for your life. I know that it seems to be so comforting to just belong to a church and all is well and dandy, but it doesn't work like that. I used to go to church every Sunday. I used to go to church on a Wednesday or Thursday. I used to be very committed to the experience for many years of my life, but I still suffered. I still suffered because I had shadow, I had fears. I didn't love myself. I still suffered. You understand? Because I never work on myself. I was depending on Jesus to do everything. I was depending on God to do everything. Right. So let's continue here. Why are a lot of the spiritual, occultic, new age spiritualists all becoming Christian? Why are they? So we already discussed this about the comforts. They are spiritually exhausted. They need assurance. They're tired of working on themselves. They're tired of being afraid. Am I doing something wrong when I do this? Because my neighbors are telling me I'm demonic. The people that are followers are calling me names. You worry so much what people think about you, but you have no idea what you think about yourself. You understand? Let me continue. Right. So divination, tarot, spirit communication, channeling, ritual practices. Ritual practices means I do a certain thing every day at the same time, doing the same thing over and over and over again. Like, for example, washing my face and brushing my teeth in the morning and in the evening. That's a ritual. Nothing to do with religion. Ritual is just doing something over and over and over again. Now, another ritual is prayer every morning, affirmation every morning, loving, praying, singing gospel music or any other music, meditation. All that is all rituals because you do it every single day. Continuously, the same thing over and over again becomes a habit, becomes part of you, becomes your lifestyle, like how you would do go to church every Sunday becomes a ritual, right? Then it becomes a habit because it's a ritual, then it becomes a part of who you are. And then when you time for you to change, it becomes scary because you're so connected to the experience. Now, I can tell you my own experience as somebody who moved from the church and went to spirituality. I walked out of that assurity. I walked out of that, okay, I have comfort in Jesus. I'm backed by Jesus. To a point where I need to know more about Jesus because this church is not telling me more that I need to know. Where does my religion come from? Why my ancestors left their own practices? That goes to colonization and all those things, okay? So who owns your mind owns you. Who owns your mind and controls you has you. You have no control over your life at all. So, because I'm an Aquarius, ruled by Uranus and Saturn, I ask questions. I'm very, very based on understanding my life here and what am I doing here. I don't want to be controlled by anything or any person. You understand? That's why I don't have an addictive personality because I can switch and change and be comfortable without worrying about, oh my God, I'm condemned. Who's watching me? Who's calling me what? That's their own business. Now, a lot of people that moved over, a lot of the social media influencers who were new age and went to Christianity moved because they couldn't handle the criticism anymore. They felt guilty. All those words being told to them on they send you messages on your email, they send messages on your page, on your videos, they insult you, they call you names, maybe on a live as well, they call you names. You understand? But I do know when you're calling somebody else's name, you're calling yourself. That's a fragmentation of your own belief of yourself. And now you're pouring it out because you're lashing out your pain to other people. Because if you truly are Christian and follow Yeshua or follow Christianity or follow Jesus' New Testament teachings, you wouldn't go spend hours on social media looking for somebody to criticize. You wouldn't spend hours calling people names because you have love of Jesus. So a lot of people that are going on social media and insulting so-called spiritualists or so-called Buddhists and all those things because they are broken themselves. They claim to be of Jesus when they're not. Because they think that putting your body in their waters and be baptized ends everything and changes you totally. It does not. You have to change yourself. You can't use Jesus as a blind anymore because it doesn't work. You can't pretend to be something you're not. Even if you are Christian, if you truly don't embody love, kindness, forgiveness, non-judgment, then you're not following the path. Basically, you're not following the path at all. Now let's continue here right now. So they may interpret their previous experience in Christianity through Christianity and include the fact that I thought I was communicating with something divine. But I know now, I believe I was spiritually deceived. They're speaking about being spiritually deceived. So for the last 10, 15 years of your life when you were influencing people, doing tarot, encouraging people, sometimes even making people feel bad, whatever, depending on your frequency and your intention. And now you're saying that you were being influenced by the demons, right? I thought I was becoming, I was communicating with something divine, but now I believe I was spiritually deceived. Why were you deceived? Because number one, when you become a spiritualist person, right? It's about owning yourself. It's about knowing thyself, understanding that there's two parts in life: the left part, darkness, and there's the right part, light. May you be a Christian, may you be a spiritualist. You're either gonna follow the darkness, separation and hate and all and pain and frustration, and you actually exerting all these negative things to other people, or you are following the light. Okay, and it is the middle part where you understand both parts, right? And you keep in the middle and then you become neutral, neutrally based. Okay, so yeah, so there's actually three parts in that way. Okay, so let's continue here, right? So the interpretation is particularly common among Christians, right? Basically, because all that you were practicing when you left the occult, you left the new age, was all demonic, and now you found Jesus, because now your life is all perfect. You have no problems, you have no challenges, all is nice and dandy. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that, right? That's why they always say it's nice to watch people change over, right? And the narrative that gets displayed, how they deem what they were practicing to be demonic. And now let's watch their lives now that they are Christian, right? How's their content? Are they condemning the people continuously that are practicing New Age, or are they doing what they're supposed to be doing? Speaking the word of God and focusing on Jesus instead of you continuously insulting where you come from, calling the people that are still practicing what you are practicing as demonic. Now, a lot of them end up doing that. They end up making their social media all about demonizing people that don't believe what they believe in. That's the ego. That's when you can see who's truly changed and who's not. Right? It's also why you see former tarot readers, witches, and astrologers and occultists, practitioners, specifically talking about Jesus rather than simply becoming religious. A lot of them speak about Jesus. I found Jesus. Who is Jesus? And what is Jesus? Outside of the Christian Bible, because he does exist outside the Christian Bible as Yeshua. The Christian Bible was created long after the passing, or when he left there, or when he left and he was crucified, and he left his apparently left the body. Then he appeared, divination. He appeared to doubting Thomas. You understand? But when he appeared to doubting Thomas, the Christians don't call that demonic, right? Because it's Jesus after all, and it's their narrative. Okay, so that means that it proves that Jesus never truly died, because we don't truly die. That's why you can still speak to your ancestor, your grandmother that died years ago can come and visit you, because we don't truly die, right? The body dies, but not the spirit. Christianity in itself is an experience, a cultural rebranding at this moment, right? There's another interesting dimension to the story. For much of the internet era, Christianity has sometimes pretended amongst a younger audience as what? Old-fashioned, because I said it was old-fashioned, was presented, as old-fashioned, as judgmental, as institutional, as restrictive. Now there is a change. People are presenting Jesus as radical, compassionate, psychologically profound, countercultural, and spiritually powerful. They're rebranding Jesus or Yeshua, right? Because, well, humans we are always seeking change. We're always changing and improving things. Now, remember, in this world, you're either going to evolve or devolve. There's two parts: evolve and become better and greater, or devolve and go back to your old negative cycles. That's devolving. Now, a lot of people at this time are either evolving or they're devolving. All right, let's continue. Creators increasingly distinguish between Jesus and the institution of church. Right now, a lot of the people or choosing Jesus and not really choosing the church. Because the church comes with a lot of dogma, and Jesus doesn't have any dogma because he died for your sins. He loves you unconditionally. He's a healing master, right? Teacher and master. And in the church is about the dogma, the rules and regulations, the 10 commandments, right? That allows someone to say, I reject Christianity, but I encounter Jesus. I reject Christianity, but I encounter Jesus. Not understanding that Christians see Christianity and see Jesus as a key factor of Christianity. So they enmesh the two. You understand? Because the Old Testament doesn't speak about Jesus and his teachings, but the New Testament does. All right. The Torah is about the Old Testament. It's about the judgments, the genealogy, the stories about the 40 years in the desert where the Jewish or the Hebrew people at the time were seeking a place to go and settle after being captives of Egypt. Okay, so that's what the Old Testament's about. It's telling a story, the history of a certain type of people called Hebrews. I have a question. Why is that the Hebrew teachings so popular in the form of Christianity and Islam, and why is it affected other people besides the Hebrews or the Jewish people? Why we have American people, why do we have British people, why do we have African people all following a Hebrew path, a Jewish path? Why is that so? Very good question, right? That allows someone to say, right, so I reject Christianity, but I encounter Jesus. So Jesus is the key factor why I'm no longer doing tarot. I'm no longer doing new age practices because it was demonic. Jesus never said anything was demonic. The people that wrote the Bible said it was. Deuteronomy 18, 20 to 21 or something like that. Speak about divination. Did Jesus write that? Did Jesus condemn divination? Did Jesus condemn doing tarot? Did Jesus condemn speaking to spirits? No, he did not. Right. However, in his teachings, it can be twisted to say he did, according to the person who's doing the teaching. Right now, this much attractive narrative of someone who previously identified as spiritual rather than religious, right? So people who are searching for certainty, you may be the one of the most biggest reasons why people are moving. The social media influencers with 900 and something thousand followers are now moving to Christianity. People like Alex Masritero, Alexandra, right? Very interesting lady. She was very famous. Even her name is mentioned in one of the songs of one of the people, the musicians, about tarot, reading tarot. She's very popular, and now she's condemned the new age practices like tarot and divination, and she's now found Jesus. She didn't find Christianity, she found Jesus. However, can you truly divorce Christianity from Jesus? Can you truly do that? Right, so let's continue. People are searching for certainty. This is one of the biggest reasons why we're seeing this change, right? New age spirituality often contains enormous ambiguity and being unsure. There's no surety. There's no sense of safety because in spirituality, there's no direct path and protection, no template. Unlike with Christianity, there's a template. You give your life to Christ, you get baptized, you read the Bible, there's a 10 commandments, what you learn about the New Testament, you go speak about Jesus, you let people in, you influence people to give their lives to Jesus. There's a template. You don't have to worry about anything because it's all there. Unlike spirituality, you have to find your own path, your own direction, your own way. It doesn't give you a sense of safety as religion does. And it doesn't give you the sense of belonging and family as religion may give you too as well. That's why people are turning and leaving the new age practices and becoming Christian. Right, let's continue. Buddhism, astrology, manifestation, African spirituality, Kabbalah, tarot, chakras, Jesus plus Hinduism. You may create your own spiritual system using all those concepts of Buddhism teaching, the middle part, learning about love and non-violence. You can learn about astrology, how it affects human beings and nature in general and yourself. You can learn about manifestation, how to intentionally create your own reality. African spirituality, if you're an African person, to learn about ancestry, veneration, and other spiritual African concepts as well. Kabbalah is all about Jewish mystics, Jewish mystic teachings. That's Kabbalah. Tarot was never really spiritual before. It was coming from cards being written by being used by wealthy people playing games in the 18th century or the 17th century. Right. Then later on, tarot then sort of been connected to divination and spirituality, right? So I do tarot, right? All about symbolism because this world is about symbolism and numerology. There's a lot going on here. A lot of things happening in this reality in the back end and also in the front end that we can see. But there's a lot of hidden things that are not being seen. Basically, you cannot see energy, but you can feel it, right? And you're able to learn how to also decipher and get the messages. Now, tarot is about symbolism and also feeling, intuition, uh, enlightenment, getting messages as well, that kind of thing. It's a way of getting direction. People use the Bible, Christians will use the Bible to get direction. They read the Bible, they go to church. Spiritualists or spiritual practitioners will use tarot, will use divination, even the pendulum. You understand? Using different tools, even using the Ouija board. But spirituality is not for people that are afraid of life. Spirituality is not for people afraid of darkness and the light, because there are people that are afraid of the darkness, and the darkness is all part of this reality. Because every single person has a dark side and a light side. Okay, you have your ego, sense of self and selfishness. That can be dark. Your intention. If you can be like a narcissist, you don't care for other people, that's very dark. Everybody has that, okay? Every single person that lives in fear and anxiety, that's darkness, okay? So it's something that's there. You cannot run away from. But even if you turn to Jesus, you're still going to be affected by the duality of life, the darkness of life, the problems of life, the challenges of life, of yourself, your own inner insecurities, and the world around you and what the world is telling you as well. Okay, so you always will be affected, right, sweetie pies? You can't run away from the darkness. And when you are a spiritualist or a spiritual practitioner, you understand the darkness quite well, and you're not afraid to go in and tap into it because it cannot hurt you. The womb is creation. The womb is dark. There's no light in the womb. It's darkness. And that's where the creation is coming from. And that's why a lot of people that are spiritualists is more witches that are female than men that are wizards, or, you know what I'm trying to say? That kind of thing. Because the womb is about the unknown. It's about possibilities. It's about wielding your own world. It's about bending reality. Every single person wants to bend reality, but people are afraid of the unknown, okay? So I rather go into Christianity because I know that all I have to do is depend on God and Jesus, and I'm safe. I don't need to work on myself because Jesus is already, his blood already cleaned me clean. That is a lie. His blood is not cleaned you clean. That's a symbolism. His death is a symbol of his love for human beings. But him cleaning you clean and making the decisions for you is not possible. Not at all, because you are human, having a human experience, and your life is not connected to Jesus' life. Jesus or Yeshua lived and is now not here in the physical. You understand? I'm not saying that believing in Jesus is wrong. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a wonderful, comforting relationship you can have with Yeshua, Christ consciousness, very comforting. But don't uh, bypass your path. Spiritual bypass. Don't bypass your own responsibility, and you thinking that Jesus is going to solve all your problems, your relationship problems, your fear, your anxiety. Jesus is not going to solve it. You got to say, why am I afraid? Why is a certain thing, money, being short of money, making me anxious? Why am I? Where's it coming from? You need to go back to the deep end and work on yourself right now. Remember that Jesus and God said you have the power to create your own life experience. So I believe that people, these content sharers or creators that were new age and moved over to Christianity, were running up away from the stress of being spiritually sovereign. They don't want to be spiritual sovereign anymore because it's too stressful. It's too stressful for them. It's tiring. They're exhausted. So now looking for comfort. Now remember, you can move from New Age to Christianity back to New Age. You can. That can happen. It has happened before because you go there and you experience that parts of things and then you learn. You're so in love and it's all good for you. But you realize that, you know what? It's not all that. I'm still having problems. I'm still experiencing challenge. I'm still having anxiety. And then you slowly go back to the original part. Now, neither the spiritual or the religious part is right or wrong. It's just a part. There's no superior one. There's no superior choice. There's no superior practice. You understand? They're still the same because remember, I'm not going to be biased and say that spiritualist, being a spiritualist is what. It's perfect. No, because I was there. I practiced Christianity. It gave me so much comfort. I loved it, but there was something that was missing. I needed more. I needed independence and sovereignty. So I went to spiritual practice. You understand? And I'm not here. This life is not about demonizing people who are moving away from spiritual practices or being a new age practitioner, reading tarot to an eternal Christianity. That's your choice. They're looking for comfort, and I understand they are spiritually exhausted. They need something that's grounded and firm, where they feel safe. There's more surety. They're more sure of what's going on right now. Let's continue. I'm about to finish off right now. Let's continue. Christianity provides a much deeper framework for people. They need God. They have to understand there's a God, there's a creation. They are created by God. There is sin. After sin, there's redemption, and through Jesus, and then resurrection and salvation. They're seeking redemption. They're seeking salvation because what they feel they're doing is demonic. Oh, I was 10 years being misled by the demons. I have clairvoyance. I was seeing demons and I fell for that trap. And now I'm finding redemption and salvation through Jesus. And that's very comforting. So I'm okay with them doing that. I'm okay of people making their choices they want to make in their life. I'm not here to condemn any person. All I want to know is that all I want you to know that your life is your life. Don't allow other people to live your life. And if you have influences that you really, really love, and the influences are trying to convince you to become Christian and give your life to Christ, and yet you're not ready, then don't do it because her or his journey is different. Your one is different. Don't be overwhelmed and don't be pushed to do something that you're not sure of. Understand who you are and what path you need to go now. Don't be influenced to follow somebody else's spiritual practices and leave what you're doing that you feel comfortable with, but then you feel as if somehow my favorite social media influencer, she's so successful. Let me go. Maybe I will also get successful if I leave what I practice and become a born again. It doesn't work like that. I'll tell you why. Because you're moving with you. You're moving with your personality, with your worldview. You might be changing your worldview, but you're moving with your subconscious mind, with all your problems, all your fears, and you're moving into Christianity, expecting Jesus to solve all your problems. And it doesn't work like that because you're living your own life. All right, sweetie pies. So as I'm closing, live your own life with autonomy and sovereignty, and don't allow other people to control your spiritual or religious practice. There's no right or wrong way or path in this reality. It's all about experience, learning, evolution, or evolution, evolving, or going down, which is to devolve. You know, to go back to the bad things that you were doing. So that's how life is. There's no right and wrong way. Every single person's going to experience an evolution or a delusion to go down to the bottom. So up and down, that's fine as well, right? Remember, there is no right and wrong in this reality. Everything is experience. And I'm not talking about legal law, yeah. I'm not talking about human criminology, what's wrong and what's right. I'm talking about spiritual principles. That's why in this earth, under this beautiful sun, evil people are successful and so are loving, kind people, because there's no right or wrong here. There's no, in my mind, the God that we have, that the creator of this universe, is not judgmental. You play the game the way you want to play, understanding that there's laws in place, like karma for one. You understand what you give is what you get out of life. You give violence, you'll get violence. As simple as that. So have a great Saturday further, and remember that every person's path is true to them. So honor them and also respect people's choices as well. So have a great Saturday further. I'll be on my live again tomorrow. If you have not as yet, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. My channel is a growing channel. My numbers are small, but I will keep on having my lives to grow my channel and speak about the human condition, spirituality, evolution, and how we can become better people and understand this reality more. You understand? So have a great Saturday further, and yeah, cheerio guys. Bye. As I go, see you next time.